Reeking news tonight, an unprecedented crisis is unfolding at the Panama Canal, a vital artery of global trade and a lifeline for the world's economy. For the first time in decades, the canal is at a complete standstill. Ships that once glided through its waters now sit idle, their cargoes stranded, as uncertainty ripples across continents. All traffic has been halted after a major security breach forced an unprecedented shutdown. The canal's sophisticated control systems have gone dark, and emergency barriers have snapped into place. In response, U.S. naval assets have moved in, securing the locks under a joint emergency protocol with Panamanian authorities. Armed personnel now guard every entrance, determined to prevent further escalation. The world is watching, anxious for answers. Newsrooms buzz with speculation and public squares fill with worried onlookers glued to live updates. The usually bustling Miraflores locks now stand eerily silent. Helicopters circle overhead, their searchlights sweeping the darkness, while armed patrols remain on high alert through the night. Unconfirmed reports suggest a sophisticated cyber attack may have targeted the canal's operating systems, crippling its ability to function. IT specialists are working around the clock, combing through lines of code for any sign of intrusion. This is not a simple malfunction, it's a direct threat to global stability. The canal is a linchpin in the world's supply chain, and its vulnerability has sent shockwaves through financial markets and governments alike. Billions in trade are paralyzed by the hour. Every minute the canal remains closed, the economic toll mounts, affecting everything from fuel prices to food supplies worldwide. Official statements remain vague, confirming only a major security incident and a precautionary shutdown. Authorities are tight-lipped, fueling speculation and concern. Behind the scenes, sources hint at a rogue vessel whose guidance systems failed, nearly colliding with the lock gates. Was this a tragic accident or something more sinister? Accident or attack? The implications are staggering. Workers on the ground are shaken, and the world is left to wonder about the true nature of this crisis. The canal's silence tonight is a chilling reminder of its strategic importance. Its stillness echoes the uncertainty gripping the globe. For over a century, this shortcut has powered global commerce, connecting oceans and nations, and shaping the modern world. Now its vulnerability is exposed for all to see. Security flaws once overlooked are now under intense scrutiny, as experts race to assess the damage. The immediate focus: security and investigation. Teams of investigators and law enforcement have descended on the site, determined to uncover the truth and restore order. The long-term question: how do we protect such a vital yet fragile link in our interconnected world? International leaders and engineers are already debating new strategies to safeguard the canal's future. We are at a critical juncture. The decisions made in the coming days will shape not only the fate of the canal, but the stability of global trade for years to come. To truly grasp the magnitude of tonight's crisis, you must first understand the Panama Canal's immense significance, not just for Panama but for the entire world. The canal is far more than a waterway. It stands as one of humanity's greatest engineering feats, a colossal project carved through mountains and jungle to connect two mighty oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific. For centuries, the idea of a canal was a distant dream, a vision that promised to revolutionize global trade and shrink the vast distances that separated nations. Explorers, engineers, and empires all imagined what it could mean for the world. Today, that dream is a reality. About 6% of all global maritime commerce, over 14,000 ships every year, pass through these locks, carrying everything from cars and electronics to food and fuel. When the canal runs smoothly, the world economy runs with it. But when it stops, even for a short time, shockwaves ripple across continents, disrupting supply chains and economies everywhere. Prices rise, shelves empty, and entire industries can grind to a halt. The effects are felt not just in Panama but in cities and towns around the globe. The canal is the engine of modern commerce, a living symbol of human determination, ingenuity, and the will to overcome the impossible. The dream of a canal began as far back as the 16th century when Spanish explorers first imagined a passage through the isthmus. For generations it was dismissed as impossible. Only with the technological advances of the industrial age did the vision finally become reality, as thousands of workers and engineers battled disease, landslides, and the unforgiving jungle. So when the canal shuts down, it's not just a logistical headache, it's a direct challenge to a 500-year-old dream, a blow to the very idea of global connection. This man-made river stands as a testament to humanity's ability to overcome nature in the pursuit of progress and prosperity. That's why today's crisis feels so profound, so unsettling. It's not just about ships and cargo, it's about the fragility of our interconnected world. The crisis strikes at the very heart of an achievement that helped shape the modern world, reminding us how much we depend on this narrow strip of water. Now, as new threats emerge and test its resilience, the world watches anxiously, hoping that this man-made marvel can endure once again. Before the canal, ships faced the perilous journey around Cape Horn, the southernmost tip of South America. This route was infamous for violent storms, monstrous waves, and deadly icebergs. Sailors called it the graveyard of ships. The journey from New York to San Francisco could take over 6 months and cost countless lives. The California gold rush made the need for a shortcut urgent. Every lost ship and sailor fueled the dream of a canal. The canal wasn't just about trade, it was about survival and hope. It answered the prayers of those who risked everything at sea. Today's still canal waters are a stark contrast to the chaos of Cape Horn. The canal solved a deadly problem, forever changing global trade. Its closure now reminds us of the dangers it was built to overcome. The world cannot afford a return to the old ways. France was the first to attempt the canal, inspired by their Suez Canal triumph. The world watched with anticipation as the French, emboldened by their engineering success in Egypt, set their sights on connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through the heart of Panama. Led by the celebrated Ferdinand de Lesseps, the mastermind behind the Suez Canal, they arrived in Panama in 1881, confident but unprepared for the challenges ahead. Their optimism was infectious, and hopes ran high that another engineering marvel was within reach. But the reality was harsh. The dense, unforgiving jungle, unstable soil, and the daunting Culebra Cut proved overwhelming. The terrain was unlike anything they had faced before, and their equipment was no match for the relentless environment. Torrential rains turned the work site into a quagmire, and landslides destroyed months of painstaking labor in mere moments. Each setback was a blow to morale and progress, but the deadliest foe was disease. Yellow fever and malaria swept through the camps, decimating the workforce. The tropical climate bred illness, and workers fell ill by the thousands. Lacking knowledge about mosquitoes and how these diseases spread, the French medical team was powerless to stop the epidemic. Medical science at the time simply could not keep up with the devastation. Thousands died, hospitals overflowed, and fear spread like wildfire. The human cost was staggering, and the dream began to unravel. After a decade of struggle, the project collapsed, leaving the company bankrupt and its workers defeated. The once hopeful site was now a graveyard of ambition. Over 20,000 lives were lost, and France's dream ended in humiliation. The tragedy was felt not just in Panama but across the world. The abandoned machinery became a rusting monument of failure, slowly being reclaimed by the jungle. These relics stood as silent witnesses to shattered hopes. The world saw the canal as impossible. Yet the dream endured, whispered among visionaries who refused to let it die. The tragedy of the French effort set the stage for a new chapter, one that would demand even greater resolve and innovation. The world learned hard lessons about ambition, nature, and the staggering cost of progress. The canal's failure was a warning, but also a challenge to future generations. The canal's story was far from over. The sun would rise again over Panama, and with it, new hope. A new power would soon take up the challenge, determined to succeed where others had fallen. The dream of the canal was alive, waiting for its next chapter. When the U.S. took over in 1904, they knew disease was the first enemy. Dr. William Gorgas led a massive campaign to eradicate mosquitoes, wiping out yellow fever and slashing malaria cases. With health secured, engineers John Stevens and George Goethals abandoned the sea-level plan. Instead, they built a system of locks and Gatun Lake harnessing the Chagres River. Ships would be lifted 85 feet, cross the lake, then descend to the sea. On August 15, 1914, the SS Ancon made the first official transit. After a decade of work and nearly 6,000 more lives lost, the canal was complete. The U.S. succeeded through medical innovation and engineering brilliance. The Atlantic and Pacific were united, and global trade was transformed. The impossible had become reality. For most of the 20th century, the canal was a U.S.-run enclave on Panamanian soil. This fueled resentment and demands for sovereignty. The 1977 Torrijos-Carter treaties set a path for Panama to regain control by 1999. The transition was gradual. with Panamanians trained to manage every aspect. Doubts lingered. Could Panama handle this responsibility? On December 31, 1999, the Panamanian flag was raised over the canal. It was a moment of national pride and fulfillment. Since then, Panama has run the canal efficiently and professionally. The handover marked a new era of self-determination. The canal became a symbol of national achievement. By the 21st century, the canal faced a new challenge. Ships had outgrown its original locks. The solution was a massive expansion, approved in 2007. New, larger locks were built to accommodate Neo-Panamax vessels, doubling capacity. Innovative water-saving basins and rolling gates were introduced. The expanded canal opened in 2016, reshaping global shipping routes. Massive LNG carriers and container ships could now transit faster. The project was a triumph for Panama, but new challenges emerged. Larger ships require more water, straining freshwater resources. Climate change and droughts threaten the canal's future. The canal must adapt to survive. The canal's greatest threat now is water scarcity, worsened by climate change. Gatun Lake's water levels are dropping, forcing cargo restrictions and reducing revenue. The lake also supplies drinking water to Panama City, creating a tough trade-off. The Canal Authority is investing in water management, but the long-term outlook is uncertain. Meanwhile, new shipping routes are emerging as Arctic ice melts. Proposals for rival canals, like in Nicaragua, add pressure. The recent security breach highlights the canal's vulnerability to cyber and physical threats. Protecting this artery requires global cooperation and constant vigilance. The canal's future depends on innovation, security, and adaptability. Its fate is tied to the world's changing climate and geopolitics. Tonight, the silent, guarded canal reminds us of its global importance. Its shutdown exposes the fragility of our interconnected world. The canal's story is one of ambition, sacrifice, and ingenuity. It has survived wars, turmoil, and nature's fury. Its expansion proved its resilience, but new threats loom. The canal must innovate to face climate change and security risks. Its role as a neutral, efficient link is more vital than ever. The world depends on this artery for trade and connection. The silent locks will open again and ships will sail through. The canal's legacy endures, a symbol of what humanity can achieve together. The world is watching, waiting for this vital waterway to beat once more. When the Panama Canal's gates close, the ripples travel far beyond the tropics. Cargo ships idle at distant ports. Containers stack up, waiting for a route that no longer flows. Factories in Asia pause production as parts are delayed. Supermarkets in Europe and North America brace for shortages. Prices spike for goods that once moved freely through the canal's calm waters. Pause 2S. Global supply chains, once invisible, become front-page news. Shipping companies scramble to reroute vessels, sending them around the stormy tip of South America, a costly, time-consuming detour. Insurance rates climb. Small businesses feel the squeeze. Consumers everywhere begin to notice the impact of a single choke point in a vast network. Pause 2S. The shutdown becomes a wake-up call for the world. Governments and companies reconsider their dependence on fragile trade arteries. New investments flow into alternative routes and infrastructure. The crisis exposes vulnerabilities but also sparks innovation. Pause 2S. In the aftermath, the world remembers. The Panama Canal is more than a marvel of engineering. It is a lifeline. Its silence echoes across continents, reminding us all of how closely our destinies are tied together, by a ribbon of water and by the choices we make to keep it flowing. As the world reels from the canal's closure, the halls of power fill with urgent voices. In Panama City, government officials convene emergency meetings, balancing national interests with global responsibilities. Their message is clear. The canal's future requires not just engineering solutions but international cooperation. Neighboring countries, Costa Rica, Colombia, and beyond, reach out in solidarity. Regional alliances form as leaders propose joint investments in water management, infrastructure upgrades, and environmental protection. Diplomatic envoys crisscross Central America, forging new agreements and sharing expertise. At the United Nations, Panama's representative addresses the Assembly, urging nations to recognize the canal's vulnerability and the need for shared stewardship. The crisis becomes a catalyst, bringing together old rivals and new partners in pursuit of stability. Pause 1S. As negotiations unfold, the world watches. The response is not just about reopening a waterway, but about building trust and resilience for the future. Through dialogue and determination, Panama and its neighbors chart a course, one that honors the canal's legacy and safeguards its role in a rapidly changing world. As diplomacy unfolds in conference rooms, nature's own drama plays out along the canal's banks. The sudden halt in ship traffic brings unexpected shifts. Once busy waterways fall silent, and the jungle edges closer, reclaiming space. Local wildlife, howler monkeys, crocodiles, and rare birds, venture onto the abandoned locks and empty docks, their calls echoing where engines once roared. Pause 1S. But the stillness is deceptive. With the canal's water management systems on pause, delicate ecosystems face new threats. Stagnant water breeds algae blooms, disrupting the fragile balance of freshwater lakes and wetlands. Fish populations fluctuate, affecting the livelihoods of local fishermen and the food chain that sustains the region's biodiversity. Pause 1S. Meanwhile, communities that rely on the canal's freshwater reservoirs grapple with shortages. Farmers struggle as irrigation systems falter, and city dwellers line up for rationed supplies. The environmental ripple extends far beyond Panama. Shipping delays force global industries to burn more fuel rerouting cargo, increasing emissions and straining distant ports. Yet, amid the hardship, there are glimmers of hope. Scientists and conservationists seize the moment to study the canal's pause, gathering data on how nature responds when human activity recedes. Their findings spark new conversations about sustainable water use, habitat restoration, and the potential for a greener future. In the shadow of crisis, the canal's shutdown becomes more than a logistical challenge. It is a stark reminder that humanity and nature are inextricably linked. The lessons learned here may guide not just Panama but the world toward a more balanced relationship with the planet's most precious resources. As the world watches, the future of the Panama Canal hangs in the balance. But out of crisis, innovation often emerges. Leaders, scientists, and local communities come together, determined to safeguard both the canal's legacy and the people and wildlife who depend on it. Bold ideas are put on the table. Engineers propose advanced water-saving technologies, redesigning locks, recycling every precious drop, and harnessing rainwater with sprawling catchment systems. Environmentalists advocate for reforestation projects to restore the watershed and protect the canal from future droughts. International partners pledge support, seeing the canal as a shared lifeline for global commerce. Pause 1S. Digital transformation plays its part. Smart sensors and real-time monitoring promise to optimize water usage and detect environmental threats before they spiral out of control. New shipping schedules and incentives encourage companies to use more sustainable routes and fuels, reducing the canal's ecological footprint. But perhaps the greatest change comes from a shift in perspective. The crisis has revealed the canal's true value, not just as a shortcut for ships but as a vital artery connecting people, ecosystems, and economies. By learning from the past and embracing new solutions, Panama charts a new course, one that balances prosperity with stewardship. The Panama Canal story is far from over. Its next chapter will be written by those willing to adapt, collaborate, and imagine a future where progress and preservation go hand in hand.